Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Monoxide Podcast. I'm your host, Harris, aka Monoxide, man of many automotive aspirations. And this is the Monoxide Podcast where we go beyond the meat. You know, the thing is in the car community, like if I were to meet Erik here at a car show, it would be a 5-10 minute conversation and somebody else steals him away, game over. Whereas this way, a lot of people can get to know our guests and just kind of go beyond the meat in the car community. So without further ado, just wanted to introduce you. So Erik Blume.
It's actually Blume.
Damn it. I knew I should have asked that before the episode.
That's like the inner circle thing, because it's just easier to say Blume.
Some of your inner circle has messed me up too. It's okay. People are like, yeah.
Our wedding, they're like, Mr. and Mrs. Blume, and a couple people in the crowd were like,
oh,
what?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is probably going to make it no longer inner circle, but
yeah. So I've known about you since pretty much I got into the car community. I remember taking photos of your car at the Minneapolis Mile, the first one.
Yeah.
And that actually made one of their highlights or whatever it was. So you still have that thing, right?
I do.
Yeah, so it's a Chrysler 300. Which variant is it? Is it an SRT or no?
2007 SRT.
2007 SRT? Okay. Yeah, and then Bryce basically did all the work on that too, right?
Yeah. It's Bryce built since before Bryce was Fat Cat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's I've had it for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Met him probably 1 year into it when I effed up a bunch of the installation things. And
that's fair.
Found him on the internet. So
yeah, so I definitely want to talk about that at some point, but give people just kind of an introduction of who you are. So you're like a photographer. I don't know, did you do video as well? A little bit of everything?
Yeah. So I started in graphic design, was actually what I went to school for. And so that kind of transformed into photo video, which was where my passions were, but I wasn't sure if that was going to be something I could make a living doing. So graphic design was kind of the plan A, but it was actually kind of a fallback. So yeah, photo video, specifically car related photo video for quite a long time. So
how did that happen? Because like I initially wanted to be a graphic designer too, and then I realized that there's people that are way better at it than me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna suck at this. So I guess what made you cause that jump? Like when did you decide it was like a full-time thing?
For the photo video part of it?
Yeah.
I started doing. I mean, it was right out of the gate. So I went to school. I went to college for graphic design, 4-year. University of Wisconsin Stout, and it took me about 3.5 years to figure out that I didn't like graphic design, but graduated with the degree, and I was like, my passion was photo video. So I had been into cars since I was a kid, and had started doing, actually most of my bread and butter was music videos, like really early on. And
just a wide range of genres, or
like rappers
okay.
From the north side. So yeah, I hung out on over north in Minneapolis quite a bit when I was pretty young, like high school and early college years. And then my high school and college buddy John, we started doing just videos for fun together and like weddings and stuff, and then that transitioned into kind of combining with the car hobby, which I was super into, and he was just kind of along for the ride kind of guy. He wasn't super into cars but loved videography, so we it ended up kind of just falling in our laps that we were at Proving Grounds, and we were just kind of doing video for fun, like 2014 2015 probably. And so we did videos at Proving Grounds. This was back when Proving Grounds was once a year, so we did a couple videos there, and then kind of towards the end of college years they offered me, they being MA Performance, they were like, hey, what are you doing after college? I was like, I don't know yet, because I'm in graphic design, and they offered me a job, and then that was kind of the kickoff point for that, was landing a job in the car industry out of college, doing photo and video, which was crazy at the time.
When did you officially start there then?
It would have been January of like 2015 or 2016.
Okay.
And then I was there for 7.5 years.
It was a fairly small company back then too, right?
Yeah. I was employee like number 30, I think.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So it was still, they had just moved into the Cottage Grove facility.
Yeah.
From Plymouth, I think it was. So, yeah, they had just moved there. And when I first toured it, they were still doing custom stuff, like one-off big turbo LS donks and stuff. There was like my first day there was a candy green donk that was, like white leather interior on like 30s, and it was a big turbo LS build that they were putting together. And, they were still doing the one-off stuff, which was super, super cool. And that quickly transitioned into more of what they are or were manufacturing and stuff like that. So.
Dude, the freaking donks. So I love donks.
I know you like donks.
I love donks. Yeah, I made it clear that I love donks. Now, I don't like donk trucks. I freaking cannot stand those. Which aren't...
But a truck, to me, is not a donk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But have you seen, I posted it a few weeks ago. It was basically like a photo of a truck or whatever, and then it had like those huge wheels and then like half an inch thick tires.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was just like...
That was at SEMA, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't at SEMA. No, that was just like something that just... took the web by storm.
Yeah, I've seen that photo.
Just ridiculous. So yeah, but I'm all for donks. I've never done photos of a donk. That's the other thing. I don't know if you struggle with this being a photographer, but there's like stuff I want to shoot, but it's like I don't want to do it for free.
Yeah. There are some passion projects. I've seen your lists every year. You come out with that list.
This is my first year actually
slowly
doing
get smaller.
Yeah,
which is the goal. So. Yeah. Mine's mental, but I have some similar stuff. I'm a big donk fan as well, secretly. I was like, that would be... If I were to do it all over again, I would do it. I would get a donk. Build a donk. Oh, that'd be kind... Would you ever... Well, the thing is, would you do a newer donk or an older donk? G-body. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Because, I don't know if it would look great on your car. No. I'm not a fan of, the more modern ones, like 36s on a new 300. Yeah. I feel like the internet can fact check me on this, but I think the term donk is specifically a G-body. Oh, okay. Okay. I think anything outside of that realm is something else. It's not technically a donk. Garbage. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, garbage. No, I might have just made that up too, so we'll find out. Yeah, because I know that there's a difference between bubble top and then square body as well and stuff like that. I need to get a donk expert on the show. That's the thing. That's the other thing for this is I've yet to have anybody that's an expert in the EV space, diesel space, and I need to get a donk expert because that's the thing. I have a lot of people offering up I'll come on, I'll talk about EVs. It's yeah, but your stuff's an opinion piece. I don't know any donk guys. I know some lowrider guys. I don't have a lot of them. Lorenzo would be a really good guy to have on here if you're into lowrider stuff. Mm-hmm. He's a super cool guy. Dude, we saw a fucked up lowrider at Vegas. So we were at Circus in Vegas or whatever, waiting for an Uber, which by the way, this is hilarious. So there was this cracked out guy, he was legit tweaking. And I was sitting next to a pilot, he was a private jet pilot waiting for his Uber. And this guy comes up to him, just, twitching and all this crazy stuff. And then he's like, "Where are you going, man?" And whatever. But then he started telling him "Fly me out to LaGuardia, man. I got to get to LaGuardia." He kept just naming off, "Can you take me to this airport?" It was the funniest thing ever. But how the heck did I get into that? Oh my God, I had to backtrack that. But the lowrider. That's right. So there was a lowrider on a trailer, and it looks like he may have hit the ground too hard or something. It had a popped wheel on the left, and it just body panel screwed up. But yeah, I'd love to get into all these little different niches. But at the end of the day, I want it to come from people within those niches. I'm not going to talk to Rat about photography. Yeah. Right. That's not his niche. Yeah. The lowrider niche it's a very tight knit, hard to get into. They don't. Yeah. It's you got to earn it kind of community. There's something to be said about communities like that too, though. Yeah. You got to earn your. You can't just buy a lowrider and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" It's no, you got to be from it, or It's a super interesting community for sure. Well, it's a different type of art too. Even at SEMA, a lot of the lowriders, you look at them and they have beautiful pinstriping and all that. Yeah. And that would, again, look ugly on a lot of modern cars. Just wouldn't look right. Yeah. But when you see some of these lowriders, it's just a bouncing art piece. Yeah, they're etching paisley into the headers. Yeah. And there's the Ruby, I think it's a 64, that reddish Impala that's also local. That's absurd. Mm-hmm. It's mouth-wateringly well done. Yeah. So I don't know how we got to lowriders, but I don't know. It's a nice detour. That's the other thing. Donks, lowriders. I love a detour like that. But anyway, so then how long were you at MAP? 7.5 years.
Okay. And then at that point, you kind of just went into freelance, right? For a little while?
Yep. So jumped into freelance full time almost 2 years ago now, probably. Yeah, it would have been August of 22-ish. I guess that's, a year and a half ago, probably. I don't know, I'm bad at math. But, so jumped into that, and that's been great. And then I was at Moto Crane for about a year, just shy of a year, and now I'm back to freelance again, which is, I'm figuring out is what is me. That's like where I need to be on a personal, on a work ethic level, and
I mean, just for some people, it just makes sense to just be on your own too. And like, if you're able to at least sustain a half decent living doing it, then why not? I mean, there's just something to be said about making your own hours as much as you can, at least. Because like, especially with you have a nice broad level of skills. Like you could do weddings, you could do automotive events and all that. Which is one thing I suck at is, I mean, I should do a wedding. I've never done one.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
You should shadow somebody. That would be step one.
Well, I've never even been to a wedding.
What?
Ever. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How old are you?
24.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've never attended a wedding?
Never.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I've probably been to 100.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get paid for more than half, I bet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've never met someone, I mean, besides babies.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I've never been to a wedding, never been to a funeral, nothing like that. So.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not. I mean, here's the other thing, right? Because like a lot of my family, right, is they were all married when I got here.
Sure.
It's like there's not a lot of kids, even in my extended family. Like I'm just finding out about a lot of extended family in Europe or whatever. But that's the other thing, because like, my parents are refugees, right? So a lot of families overseas or distant family that, again, I didn't even know about until somewhat recently.
Sure.
And realistically, I didn't even start having a ton of friends until I got into the car community. I think I've been invited to like one wedding, and then something came up and I couldn't go to that. But that's pretty much it, dude.
Yeah. Where are your parents from?
Bosnia.
Nice.
Yep. So purebred Bosnian over here. I mean, I was born here, which is a different thing, but
Yeah.
So, but no, I definitely should shadow somebody at a wedding or something. Because again, it'd be a nice little. Because like I've heard you can make, I shouldn't say bank, but a good chunk of change for weddings.
Yeah. I consider myself I don't know if you want to get into weddings on the podcast.
Doesn't matter.
I'm a mid-grade wedding photographer. I have some friends that make upwards of $20,000-$30,000
Per wedding.
per wedding.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm just curious because so like what's, I guess, how do you even justify that level of cost? Like what goes into that sort of package, like a $10,000 or $20,000 package?
I think it's what's the word for? I mean, it's like, why would you buy a Ferrari over a Corvette?
Right.
It's the bouginess of the deliverables, I guess. As a high-end wedding photographer, you're getting bougie levels of deliverables.
So I guess I'm more so curious, like what's because I think somebody told me like they deliver like 200 or 300 photos or whatever. Is that kind of like the realm, or is it usually like a lot more? Or
it kind of depends. Like our wedding photographer, for my wedding, we got 50, I think.
Okay.
But they were that was what was expected. And then I've heard of people delivering 2,000 photos.
Yeah.
For like we do some Indian weddings. We've gotten into Indian weddings lately, and they're multiple days, sometimes weeks. So
Whoa.
2,000 photos over the course of a 5-6 day event is not crazy.
Why are those? Wait. Okay, so this is the first time I ever hear about this, and I should really talk to some of my friends about this now. But why are they? How does the multi-day? I know this is not automotive related, but I think people would love to know about this.
Sure.
So why are Indian weddings so long, or like how does that work?
So I'm not the expert on this. I just attend.
That's fair.
Or work them.
Yeah.
But they have different, and it depends on which part of India you're from.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that will dictate the types of ceremonies that you have, I believe. So they have one, like a henna night where one entire day is just them getting the henna done, and like that's part of the ceremony.
Interesting.
And then they have different days of different ceremonies, and like the actual legal part of it is one day, and then the religious part of it is another day, and stuff like that. And
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm caught up.
That's my very loose understanding of that. So,
yeah, I'm definitely not claiming you as an expert. Don't worry. But now I have some research to do after we're done with this podcast, because like that. I mean that, and I'm sure it costs a lot too. But yeah. That's oh man, that's freaking nuts. Okay, so we got into fun. Yeah, get that Aquafina, son.
we're all over the place already.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Okay, so then you're doing freelance, and then we were just talking about before we started talking about everything else is so you're kind of adding to your studio. So where's your studio based out of then? Is it at your house or?
It was.
Okay.
So for about 2 years, I had a studio in my basement, a portrait studio. We'll start with that, which has been started off as just kind of a hobby and then transformed into making money doing it. Right around COVID times is when I started making good money doing portrait work. And then, 2 years of studio in my basement, which is the actual size of the studio is probably the size of this room.
Yeah, and this room is an 8x16 minus the wedge cut out on the corner.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have a regular sized basement, but the actual studio portion of it was about this size. And, like no overhead on that. It's just, buying paper and lights and stuff like that I already owned, but there's no rent, obviously mortgage, but it's the overhead on that was minimal. And then jumped into a 2,000 square foot section of a warehouse about 4 months ago.
Okay.
And that's off West 7th in St. Paul. And just been throwing money at that.
Yeah.
Trying to grow it, trying to build stuff that I think's cool and rent it out and hope that it continues to excel. So
I'm curious then of your overall like work. So like you've worked with a lot of like the models within the community, and just first of all, I love your work. It's freaking, it's awesome. It's just I love your creative take on a lot of things. We can get into that. But so what would you say is kind of like what are all the various aspects of work that you do then? So like portraits, for example, like what percentage of your work are portraits? Or like studio work?
Yeah. I'll break it up in percentages of money because that makes sense in my brain.
Yeah.
Probably 20% of it is weddings, maybe. I really don't do a lot of weddings. And then I would say 10 to 20% of it is other, which would be like a big chunk of that's Red Bull stuff. Because I do freelance photo and video work for Red Bull.
Oh, cool.
And then other standard freelance stuff like, oh, hey, I need a video for my pond company or, whatever. And then the rest of that is just portrait work. So that, I don't know, 60 to 70% of it is portrait work, which is pretty crazy, actually.
So portrait work, and that's not necessarily always at the studio, but anywhere?
Pretty much. Most of it's at the studio. Some of it's outside, but like I found a niche pretty early on with the style of portrait and like the lighting style and like the studio aspect of it that no one really did here or didn't do well, and ran with it. And so far so good, because there's a million natural light photographers in the Twin Cities, and they all have killer natural light studios, and they're outside doing fall sessions, and that was just not a market that was going to make money because it's saturated. So I picked the opposite direction and ran with it.
So then for your studio then, because like again we talked about you putting together that I don't know what the heck you want to call it, the old stereos and the
speaker wall.
There we go.
Not a very cool name, but
yeah, I keep struggling to come up. You should come up with some cool, wacky name for it. That 70s show or something.
Yeah.
But no, that thing's really cool. So then do you make setups like that and just kind of like, I don't know, do you wheel them in or whatever, like as needed or?
Yeah, everything is built in there. So it's 2,000 square feet, and then it does have a garage door, but the garage door goes into another unit. So I've been trying to nurture that relationship with the woman that owns or leases the other unit that runs a full business out of her unit. So yeah, I've had cars in there before. It's been pretty tricky. But yeah, everything that's in there is permanently in there, and it gets moved around within the space as needed. So But yeah, the speaker wall is kind of the hero piece right now, and it's very heavy.
Have you started doing photos with that yet?
Yeah, I had a mixer event on Saturday that was like kind of the big hurrah, not big hurrah, but big unleash of that prop specifically. So, but yeah, I built a little T-wall type thing that's kind of nestled against the wall to provide little rooms basically, because it's just a warehouse. It's just a white brick warehouse with no walls. So it's got a little back room that's got the paper wall set up, and then I have like just kind of a storage and like changing room, and then the big room is like probably 1,000 square feet, which is like the main room. There's big windows and stuff like that, and then that's got, you know, the speaker wall, and I got one of those hex lights that everybody has in their detailing garages, and got a guy that came in and did some graffiti, which was super cool. And yeah, then I have a little T-wall that has 2 sets that kind of change out as needed with themes or whatever.
So I was gonna ask, so like concept wise, do you kind of like have a list of like pre-made concepts, or do people come with ideas to you and they're just like, hey, can you make this happen, or is it a mixture? Or
For the shoots or for the props?
Shoots.
Yeah, shoots. I have kind of a few ways that people go about it. I have enough work done that people are just like, I want to come and do a laser shoot. So I have a laser that I own that I use for shoots, or, you know, they want to do something with graffiti or something with the speaker wall or something with, you know, I have this big round red bed that's like very goth looking. And other people come to me with new concepts, or like sometimes it's just based on a piece of clothing that they have, or like cosplay, or, you know, gearing up for Christmas stuff. And other people are like, they're like, I have no idea what I want, but I just want you to do it. So I'm like, here's some options. And like, they kind of pick through, and because, yeah, sometimes people just have, you know, no idea what they want. And I have to kind of curate it or guide them to some direction.
Yeah. So do you basically just have like a moving rack, like a TJ Maxx rack, just push it out, be like, all right, pick a costume or anything like that? Or
I wish I had the budget to provide wardrobe, but I don't.
So people typically come with their own then?
Yeah, pretty much 100% of the time. If there's like like I do paint shoots a lot, so I'll provide paint, like gold paint or something, and then I do a lot of shoots with like liquid latex.
Yep.
Which, like, you typically paint it on, but we'll like pour it on or something.
Yeah, like stuff that like Halloween, like decor.
Yeah, they're
like
for like
face.
special effects makeup type stuff, so you can get a bunch of different colors and whatever. So yeah, it's just kind of a wide array of people know what they want, people don't know what they want. So
Didn't you do one with like honey a while back?
yeah, one of the very first ones that I did, actually, that was like
A
kind of
mess.
blew up on the internet. Not blew up, but like people still talk about it, was an octopus shoot. So I had a dead octopus that I bought at Kowalski's. That was like 8 pounds.
Okay.
I paid like $140 for it. And then this was at the house where I had the crappiest clawfoot tub that I could find on Marketplace that I literally dug out of this guy's backyard and like scooped fungus and mushrooms out of and like bleached the shit out of it. Can I swear?
No, go for it. Yeah.
Bleached it and set up this really dingy set in my garage and had people come and put a fake, well, it was real. It was a dead octopus, like, you know, like holding it, and like people had it. I don't know if you're gonna like show stuff on the YouTube version of this, but yeah,
I do
and then
highlights.
Honey was another one that was like mixed it 1-to-1 with like gold glitter, so it was like really thick, and you could like almost like hold it. It was so thick. So that was another really pretty fun one. Still finding chunks of honey at the house, like just in corners you'll find ants on an old pile of honey, which is gross, but.
The octopus thing's kind of getting me. It's like that thing, like, for example, like I'm thinking calamari because that's octopus, right? I think, right?
Yeah.
Or no, it
Might be squid. But I'm pretty sure it's like octopus.
Either way, these are big brain sea animals, and then one day it's just like some model just throwing it around. Like, I don't know. Just
It smells so bad.
I can't even imagine.
Like I said, we shot it in the garage, and I tried to refreeze it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
a mistake. I mean, I paid $140 for this thing. Like, but yeah, it's food grade. I literally, like I said, I bought it at Kowalski's. Tried to refreeze it because I was like, oh, I'll use this again.
Like, try to use it between sessions.
It unthawed. Like, I think I must have lost power or something, and it unthawed. No, that would be frozen. It thawed in the freezer and leaked, and I had to throw the fridge away. This like mini fridge that I've had since college with like all my cool. The garage fridge, like with all the stickers and stuff on it. Like, I was like,
you couldn't get the smell out.
There was no saving it from that smell. No amount of bleach or cleaner or vinegar or anything. There was, I had to toss it.
That'd be so funny if you just had to refreeze it every single shoot. Just use it for years on end. Name it Squidward or something.
Yeah, that was a smell that I do not care to experience again.
So then, and I don't know how much you want to talk about this or not, but then, so you were a motor crane for about a year then, roughly?
Yeah. So after MAP, I was freelance for probably 6 to 8 months. And I was very much in the, I had been freelancing for a long time. Always had the side hustles. I've had side hustles for my whole life. Not my whole life, but, always shooting music videos, weddings on the weekends, like, the standard photo video guy always has a bunch of irons in the fire. And then, the MAP thing ended, and then freelance for, I think, 6 or 8 months. And then one of my really good buddies worked at Motocrane for a long time. He reached out and was like, hey, man, I see you're doing really well doing freelance. And I'm like, practically crying myself to sleep. Like, I'm like, I'm not doing really well, but thank you. Like,
I know that feeling.
Skating by doing freelance. And he's like, would you entertain a job? And I was like, moto crane would be killer. So jumped on there for a while, and I was there for about a year, and that was a pretty killer experience. Very unique place to work. And then as of like 4 or 5 months ago, back to freelance again. So,
what were you doing over there?
Media marketing.
Media marketing. Oh, so you were still doing like photo, video stuff for them, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at MAP, I did photo, video, and like started at product photography and like graphic design and like all of their sale banners and like stuff on the website. I did that forever, and then transitioned into doing product reviews and everything, one-stop shop for media, because I was the only media person there for 3-4 years probably. And then the media team started to grow at MAP, and we started doing a bunch of other stuff, and like Tyler Mumm was there, and I'm gonna pause while I think of who else was there, which you're gonna edit so it doesn't seem super awkward.
The amount I edit is very minimal. Like, the only thing I ever edit out is like if people ever say something they don't want to say.
Okay.
That's the only time. Yeah, but otherwise it's long form, because people usually listen to this sort of thing like either while they're working in a shop or they're on their way to work. So it's like, they're half invested usually. So, but yeah, I know I wouldn't stress it at all.
Okay.
But yeah, so it seems like everybody that was at MAP, especially, in the last like 6 years, seems like everybody's like pretty tight. Like, even if they've gone into separate careers, seems like they're, I don't know, just kind of seems like like you guys were like trench buddies once upon a time.
It was a super tight-knit group. One of my coworkers was in my wedding, Kurt, really, really, really good buddy of mine. But yeah, the media team grew there, and I did a lot of Instagram there, a ton of Instagram stuff, and then we ended up hiring a guy that just did TikTok and Instagram. And then that was like my whole, I was media crew, so that was what I did at Motocrane as well. So kind of same stuff. I took over their Instagram and did some YouTube videos, and it went from like MAP had tens of thousands of products on the website, and Motocrane had like 50. Like, they have 3 arms that they sell, and then some accessories. And like, that's it. So it was like going from having unlimited amounts of content to do around products to like, okay, we're releasing one product this quarter, and like we needed the rollout to be insane. Like everything goes into one thing there. So it was a pretty intense turn of events going from, the conglomerate that was MAP with their insane catalog of offerings to a company that was very, very niche.
Yeah, I could see that being difficult just because, again, like with MAP, I wouldn't say it's not like a ton of creative work. It's just kind of rinse and repeat, I imagine, a lot of that.
It over the years, it transformed into like, top 5 exhausts for your WRX. And then it was like top 5 exhausts for your, pre-2015 WRX, and then it was top 5 exhaust for your 2015 plus WRX, and then we did that for the STI, and then it started to get to be a lot of that kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, they sell parts, so you got to sell parts. Yeah,
it was fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but again, a little bit of rinse and repeat. Whereas at Moto Crane, it's just like you said, one product a quarter. It's like
the first project I did there, they upgraded the base module for their middle arm, which was called Ultra. It's called Ultra. And like the first month I was there, I was in San Francisco and Jersey, and then they also went to South Carolina for it, which I was on a wedding for or something. I was unavailable.
Yeah, that makes sense. And those rigs are freaking sweet. Like I'm glad that Jacob and then finally upgraded to a bigger setup. I mean, I think it's just a natural progression of anybody that does video. It's just bigger. As long, for the most part.
Good transition into Jacob. I did an interview with Jacob at Moto Crane because he had just bought a Radical, which is the small arm.
Okay.
So that was pretty awesome. Jacob's a great guy.
Yeah, I'm excited. So he'll be the next guest on after you, assuming all things go well. Because that's the thing. Like when you're at that level of busy, like he's doing a lot of banging gear stuff right now.
Yeah.
Like I understand if you need to reschedule like every once in a while. Yeah, that's just how it goes. But have you worked a lot with the Golden Peaks guys then?
Yeah, I've known Jacob since we were kids, basically, through Afton, skiing and snowboarding.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up snowboarding. I've been snowboarding since I was 8, so like 24 years snowboarding. So I was a coach on a team that they had there. It's called D Team, and he was a skier student. So we were like on the same team but adjacent. So I knew him since he was probably 15 and I was like 20 at the time probably. And then he started getting into like the skiing videos and stuff like that, and like we have just known each other since then forever. And then the car portion of things just kind of naturally progressed as well, and we've shot Crown together and stuff like that. I was on Crown West in 2021 working for him, which was pretty crazy. Big full circle type stuff. So
that is wild actually when you think about it. Because so how old are you then?
32 tomorrow.
32. Oh, well, happy early birthday. I don't know. Yeah, belated is after the fact. When you forget about your friends.
It's early.
It's early. What's gonna be wild is I guarantee like a few of your friends will like hear this, be like, "Oh shit, happy belated!"
Like, wait, tomorrow, but it was released on this day, because tomorrow's not going to be tomorrow when you release this.
No.
It's going to be 2 weeks from now.
Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Thursday. Yeah, should be. Yeah. You typically. The nice thing about having this new location at Ratified is I can structure myself a little bit better. Sure. Since I don't necessarily have a co-host anymore, I will have a guest co-host soon to be announced, but it's a lot less to schedule because like Sean had a kid and he's all this stuff. Just a lot of things were going on at the time, because like he was planning to move to California, so scheduling became difficult. Whereas here, it's like it's just me. I don't have anything to worry about. This is what I do full time for the time being, unless some crazy opportunity comes up. I'm at any point ready to just drop and like move to Texas or something, we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Texas is great. Love Texas.
Yeah. I can't wait to go to Texas 2K. That's my for sure trip. So the two non-negotiables for me every year are I need to do a rally and Texas 2K. So
those are good non-negotiables to have.
Well, yeah, it's like, I have other non-negotiables in other aspects of my life. Like, oh my God, don't steal my fucking fruit punch. I don't know. But, but so then how many crowns have you done? That's kind of how I found out about you, really.
4, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did North in like one of the first ones, 2016 or 2017. It was like, I think it was like the first official Central Crown was what it was called at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think I did the North after that, which would have been like 17 or 18. And then I drove North with my wife in 2019, and then COVID, and then Crown West in 2021, which was the first 2 years was as me working as myself, and then 2021 was with working for Jacob.
Oh yeah.
He called me up. He's like, "Hey, you're kind of the POV crazy footage guy. Do you want to come be my POV crazy like handheld footage guy?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome."
Yeah. Did you also do the high five thing, or is that just Ben? Because I know Ben would literally be holding the camera and be like, high five. I think you may have just
There's
done that.
several of that.
Yeah.
Several of those from West that I did. I don't know if I got it from Ben. Maybe Ben got it from me.
Maybe.
Or we naturally progressed together.
Yeah.
Because, I'm from like pre-gimbal levels of that's how old I am. Mm-hmm. When I started doing video stuff, gimbals were not achievable.
Yeah.
They were crazy. We had Steadicams, which were just sticks with weights on the bottom, basically.
Oh, yeah. I remember those.
And you had to hold, it had like a weird articulating handle, and you had to like basically pan with your thumb, and then like you really had this like crazy, I don't even know what the word is, but Steadicam era.
I remember looking at those because like I got my first gimbal, I want to say 2018 or 19, and even then they weren't necessarily cheap yet. But then I saw Josh Way put one up for sale earlier this year, and it was like, I think he had it up for like $150. I'm like, fuck you, are they actually that cheap? So then I went online. I'm like, no way. I'm like, that's crazy, because like I got a Ronin M again. This is my second Ronin M because I sold my previous one because I was like, fuck video, but.
Yeah, I have an S. I think I paid $300 for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's S or SC, but brand new. It was $300.
Yeah, and I like these. So Chun Media, so he's got like the smaller one, and I guess everybody, because like now I got the old version. It's like, come on, but like these smaller ones are like, I want that, because it's just getting smarter and smarter. Like for example, like Jason's like he's able to like lock it in place now, so like when he's walking around, it's just not free hanging.
Yeah.
I don't know if mine does that currently, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was in a weird position where, like, kind of an old head learning to use gimbals, and then I kind of got leapfrogged by the younger generation of video guys, and then now I'm just kind of like, I'm going to just handhold it then. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of my jam, was just like high energy handheld stuff, and I think I got really good at that. So that was why I was on West for Jacob, which was super fun. I had a ton of fun on Crown West.
It's just another perspective on the rally, because like obviously they had the car, and then they had all their gimbal guys, and then having a POV guy, like it's just it's cool to stitch all that stuff together. Because like when they shot my rally, coming up on 2 years here soon, like they gave me so much. They gave me drone, like everything I needed to piece together an awesome video.
Sure. And
just all these various angles, because I think they would run and gun with the POV stuff, a lot of gimbal stuff. So super cool.
Yeah. I mean, Crown, the first couple of years we shot it, which was with my buddy John, who was the guy that I shot Proving Grounds with. We didn't have a camera car, and like the first North we went on, we actually didn't even have a vehicle. We both jumped in random cars at the first checkpoint, and we would go a checkpoint in the back seat of that car and film and like get shots of them driving and like, waving at other cars and like looking at the map and, arguing or whatever. And then we would get out at the next checkpoint and film some B-roll of cars pulling up, and then just hope to find another car to hop into. And then like 7, 8, 9 checkpoints later, we were in Chicago, hopefully, and make sure that John's there as well. And then like, okay, our bags made it in some other vehicle, and like, it was a shit show for us, not for the rally. Like the method to our madness was a bit chaotic.
Yeah, thanks for setting the standard for the rest of us, because when so I actually ended up doing Crown Rally as well as a photographer back in 2018. I think it was their second time doing South, I think it was. And that was crazy. So here's the deal. So I was starting college, like, no joke, like the day like Crown Rally ends, right, or whatever. So it's like I had to figure out a lot of things. So number one was like if I basically, so I got the call from Justin or whatever, like 16 hours before I had to be in Chicago. No, not 16, like literally a day and a half. It's like the next day I had to be on my way.
Yeah.
So after I agreed to do it for like, what was it, like $300 or whatever, because like I was a new photographer on the scene, and it's like, you know, this is pre-inflation, so $300 was a lot, especially for somebody else broke as me. So anyways, I'm like, let me get back to you, because like I had to take off work for the weekend, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll quit, because like this is like this was like a dream come true. Like,
Yeah.
being a new automotive photographer on the scene, it's like doing Crown was like top tier. Like, I mean, we all know how big they got. I mean, just shooting 125 cars across the country. Yeah, bet your ass I'm in. And get paid for it. What? But
$300.
yeah, but anyways, so then I had to figure out how to, because like the thing is like if you miss the first day of class in college, you can get dropped from the class, and then that fucks up your entire, you know, life. I love our academic system. It's like sick. Fuck up my next 4 years, thanks. But anyways, got that sorted out, and then we had to figure out how was I going to get down. So I ended up riding with Kelly Wraith in the Camaro, in the Wonder Bread Camaro that had the stupid Fig Newton sticker across the front.
I spent a lot of time in that car on West as well.
Yeah,
I love Kelly.
Yeah, he's good shit. So I rode down with him. We had a convoy of, I want to say, 8 cars going down to Chicago, and I didn't know where I was sleeping, none of this stuff, until like midnight, by the way. Like we had like a powwow, I want to say around 11:45, where it was just a media team. It was my first time meeting like Tom and all these other guys. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So then what ended up happening? So what was the next car? So I ended up riding in the CTSV with Marcus from Detroit.
I don't know if I've ever met him.
I think he's done north a handful of times. He had a great...
Matt Smith used to have a CTSV. I wonder if it's the same one. Black manual wagon?
No. It was gray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was a sedan. But so I ended up riding with them from Chicago to Indy, and from Indy to wherever, some gas station. And then I was like, we ended up being at the same gas station as Savage Garage. And I was like, I'm going to go see if I can go ride with them. You know, worst thing is they'll say, this is the first time in my life I've ever said worst thing they'll ever say is no.
Yeah.
You know, so went over there, jumped into Urus with Randy Savage, and he's like, you'll probably have more fun in that thing. And he points to his SVJ. I'm like, fucking right, I will. So I jump in the SVJ, and it was supposed to be until like the next stop. Ended up being 4 hours just through the crazy mountains and all that stuff. Yeah, freaking nuts. We even drag raced the Urus and the SVJ at a stoplight. Did like a tunnel run at like 140 miles an hour in the SVJ. And then, by the way, I felt horrible because I left all my luggage into CTSV.
Yeah.
And it was going back and forth in the back seat. And they eventually just were like, fuck this, we had to change this up. I felt so bad when I found out about that. And then it came full circle. I ended up doing Tail of the Dragon as a passenger with Kelly in the Camaro.
Nice.
So... yeah, dude, Crown Rally, it's such a different experience. Like that, I'm so happy I ran my own rallies for a while because it's just, there's nothing on the planet like a rally.
Yeah.
Would you say the same? Did you enjoy them?
Some core memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the first one I rode, I'm going to pause long here for names.
No, you're good.
I'm not sure if the names matter, but
yeah.
the first one, just some of the ride along, like, as a filmer, you have to, unless you're looking for cars that have back seats, because on rallies most people have co-drivers.
Yes.
So you're in, you know, like big cars, a lot of CTSVs and stuff like that, and there happened to be a P1 with no passenger, no co-driver, and he was at the checkpoint with me fumbling around trying to figure out what car I was in, and I was like, hey, you know, Kevin. I was like, hey, Kevin, you don't have a passenger, right? Like, can I jump in with you? And he's like, kind of, you know, no, like, kind of fumbled through it and said no. And I was like, all right, you know, that's fine. And then I ended up in a different car, and then the next checkpoint, he pulls up, and he's like, get in. I'm like, oh, no way. So I was like, get in, and I'm like, all right, you know, like, I'm in a P1 about to go on a rally. And I'm also the co-driver because he doesn't have a co-driver. So I'm like navigating while holding a camera. I'm like trying to read, because Crown Rally does like the very vague checkpoint situation where it's like, riddle at times, where you get like a coordinate, and there's like, you know, it's a game.
I had to do that in the SVJ and we lost connection.
Yeah,
I know.
And so spent similar story. It was supposed to be one checkpoint, and it was like 4 hours. And at one point, it was absolutely downpouring, and you know, we're getting gas at some random gas station, and there's people, you know, like the energy that you get in a rural Wisconsin town on Crown North in a P1.
It's insane, dude. When we
People
were
like, what is that? Like, what? They're like, you know, like swatting flies away from, you know, it was just nuts.
It was the funniest thing, dude. We were in the Appalachian Mountains, where we stopped over, you know, for I think a quick snack or whatever at a gas station as well. Which, by the way, we were literally on fumes because we could not find a gas station. Like, because like I was navigating, and side note, I missed the turn a few times because, like, again, when you're navigating with no connection and it updates, it's like, oh shit, we were supposed to take a turn a mile and a half back. But dude, like, it's wild. Like, we were at the gas station, and John or whatever was like on a smoke break, and then all these like, it's like they came out of the forest, like all these like hillbillies, like actual hillbillies, like singing, you know, from the coal mine came out. They came out, and they're just like, takes a long drag at a cigarette. The fuck is that? Like, you know, just like
But pulling up to a rural gas station on an orange P1.
Yeah.
The lady working the gas station comes out. What? She's like, what is that?
It's a spaceship.
Yeah, like literally, is that a Ferrari? Is that a Lamborghini? Like, yeah.
It's amazing. It's such an amazing energy because, like, think about, and I think they may have, like, I don't know, like, because like a lot of these routes like are used by the same rally or several rallies nowadays. So it's like I feel like once a year they just hear one loud car coming because it's like it's awesome. Like I don't know if you saw this, you know, in rural Wisconsin, but like there'd literally be like 10 or 15 people sitting on a hillside just watching us blast by.
They're like in chairs, like they knew it was coming.
Yep.
They heard one car and they ran to their garage and like, or they were listening to police scanners or something.
Jet bro, hear those spaceships coming.
Yeah.
But no, super. It's a different level of energy, dude. Like I would love to see them back. Like, even though I will be involved with Carmunity for upcoming rallies, and you know, there's a lot of other great rallies out there right now. It's just they became the biggest name. Like, yes, sure, Gold Rush is, you know, the most, like, the craziest, and Gumball and all that, but I don't think anybody had more cars ever than Crown.
Yeah, and I think that like Gumball and Gold Rush is a
celebrity.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. It's more of a show than it is car enthusiasts creating core memories together. You know, It's been fun to see the progression of Crown too, from seeing it in 2015, 2016, and the level of organization from then to now, and seeing how much money's been raised and how many people have had so much fun doing it. So, it'll never be perfect on communication front. Like, I've heard from a number of people like complaints over the years, and it's just like when you're dealing with that many people, like to make like Crown Rally at its peak probably had at any given point 400 or 500 people. Like there, because like when you think about 150 cars plus passengers, and then you have all the volunteer staff, and then every single, like, it's just a lot to go on. Yeah. So I don't know. I'd love to see it make a comeback at that scale, but that's such a hard scale to manage. Because like when you look at the lists every year, it's like 8 570S's, 6 Aventadors, 19 Huracans, aka Civic of supercars. Like it's just a million. So, so then you've done 4 of those. Then did you do 2 of them in the 300, you said? One. I drove north in 2019 in the 300. Okay. Which was fun. Was it pretty stock back then? Or what was done to it? Yeah, stock and pro-charged. Okay, stock and pro-charged. Yeah, totally bone stock, everything, with some SRT4 injectors and P1 Pro Charger. Okay. P1 SC. So what would that put it at power-wise? 500s? 5-ish. Yeah. Okay. It was on 91 at the time. Okay. And then, so where did the build go from there then? Because then is that before or after you met Bryce? After.
after. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Because I bought the car pretty much stock. It had some 22-inch Viper reps on it that
yep.
weigh about 62 pounds a piece. No joke.
Are they actually that heavy?
Yeah, yes, without a tire on it.
Whoa.
And though they look cool, I think they're okay. Like they're they're off the truck, the SRT10, those wheels.
Yep.
That's the look that they were, and it had the body kit on it, which is a sought after front end body kit in that community.
Yep.
Yeah. So when I bought it bone stock, 2007. I bought it in like 2015-ish, 16. Because Hellcats had just come out, so 2015-ish, 2016. And then did some work on my own with some people from work, which would have been MAP at the time. That was, I'm working for an import tuner shop, and we're doing after hours work on a Hemi, and so we fucked it up pretty big time, and bent a bunch of rods, and I think I was just kind of poking around for help. And even then, Bryce was like the guy. But this car is, even way back then, it went up to Sheridan to get worked on.
Yikes.
They fucked it up royally.
Shocker.
And then it went to a guy in Elk River for tuning that was a LS tuner at the time. I don't even know if he's still around. He fucked it up even more and, lied to me about it. I was like supposed to be being tuned while I was on vacation, and I had a buddy go check it out, and like it hadn't even been touched the day I was coming back type situation, like standard nightmare tuning situation. And I guess that's not nightmare. It could have been way worse, but it didn't get done. And so I picked it up from him, the untuned, got my money back, I think. I don't remember, but and then I think just like, please God, someone help me fix this car. And Bryce came up through the Mopar community, and we've been best friends ever since, pretty much. Excuse me. So from there it was a Cam, and then shortly after Bags and Pro Charger, and then that was right around when I took it on Crown. So stock block, stock everything on 91 with a P1 at like 8 PSI would have been 515 maybe to the tire.
Yeah, that's the 6.1 in there, right?
Yeah.
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 God, that's an amazing motor. I learned about those a couple of years ago, like just how potent they were. It's like, oh, they're way better than a 6.4.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I don't know if you want to go down that whole rabbit. I don't know if you want to talk about more of the car now.
I'd love to,
that's
everything.
Whole saga.
Yeah, why not? Let her rip. All right, let me strap in here.
Yeah, it's like it just depends on which direction you want to go with things.
Yeah. It's your day.
But yeah, so I mean, after that, I decided that I wanted, because this is the first car I've ever modified, and the only car I've ever modified. And of course, it's a fucking Hemi, which is the worst car to modify.
Is that a Gen 2 or Gen 3 technically? Like the Hemi? Because I know like Bryce specializes in like Gen 3 Hemis. Would you know which yours would be? I don't know.
2.
2 would it? I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a text question for Bryce after.
We'll get schooled in the comments.
It's okay. Yeah.
I think it's a 2. I don't know my gens.
Nonetheless.
I don't know anything.
That's why we pay Bryce.
I learned, unfortunately, pretty late to not touch anything on any car ever. It was stock block Pro Charge for a long time, and super, super fun. Just playing around with that, doing cosmetic things here and there. I got rid of the wheels pretty early on.
Yeah, if they're that heavy.
They were insane. I had they were heavy, and I weighed them one time, and I was like, this is, there's no way. They're 70, 80 pounds with a tire on it.
It probably was ridiculously fast after you got rid of them.
And so then, from there, I put stock Charger wheels on.
Okay.
And it was just would blow the tires off. And did that for a long time. Slowly just kind of figured out a game plan because I knew I wanted to go for big power with it. So after that, built a motor. That was fine. Got built by Jake, a local guy, SRE, Samson Racing Engines, who I think he's still around. I think he's still building motors. So yeah, he built a motor. That took me a while, just chipping away. Stuff's expensive. So chipping away at that. And then the plan was to just kind of go down the line and then turn it up once everything was bulletproof. So built the motor and then built the trans, and then most recently got a one-piece drive shaft for it, and then it's got a whole Hellcat rear end swap, so cradle and axles and all that stuff. So yeah, the trans building was an absolute nightmare. That was like mid-COVID is when that happened, and
delays all over, I bet.
Yeah, this is a 5-speed Nag 1 that was being built. I wanted to make a 1,000 wheel. That's been the goal ever since I've had it.
Is that the same 5-speed that's in like the all-wheel drive Chargers? Maybe, I don't know.
I think so. There might be some differences with like solenoids and stuff, but more stuff that is above my.
Again, the people we pay.
Like my pay
you'll
grade.
never see me doing anything complex on the Golf, at least in the near future. That's why we're here at Ratified.
Yeah, I mean, I paid a bunch of money for this reputable guy to build this trans. Shipped it to Florida, and it was months. Pay half up front, which was like $3,000, and everything was on paper. Everything, we're getting all this stuff, and here's everything we're getting, and billet, stall, and all this other stuff. And like he's, we're working on it, it's being worked on, we're working on it, it's being worked on, it's going to ship in a month. And he's like, oh, we're waiting on parts, and then now we're working on it. And then it got to the point where he's like, it's done, and I shipped it. I was like, cool. Like, once I get tracking, I'll give you the rest of the money. And he's like, oh, like there's no tracking. I'm like, what do you mean there's no tracking? This is a $7,000 transmission. You don't have tracking? And so unluckily, Bryce had a funeral to go to in Florida, which is where the trans builder was based. And so he stopped by. This guy had a shop. He had employees. And stopped by, and there was my transmission sitting on the pallet that we shipped it on. Still wrapped, untouched. So Bryce stayed there while this guy finished the trans. Like, he stayed a few extra days to literally watch this guy finish the transmission. Shipped it with tracking, and I was like, all right, like, I guess I'll just give you the rest of the money, in good faith. Like, Bryce theoretically watched this thing go out the door, and sure as shit, shows up, totally ready to rock, without a stall. No stall, no torque converter. And so we're like, hey man, like there's just, this is not here. I paid you for it. He's like, oh yeah, they're back ordered. I'm like, okay, well, get it. So then ordered one, and they were like 3 months out. I'm like, whatever. Month goes by, it shows up. I'm like, all right, cool. That showed up sooner than expected. Put it in, everything's great. And then tuning and all that stuff, everything's going great. And then I'm like, all right. So then that was 2021-ish, probably. And I store the car in the winter. So then the following spring, put the battery in, go to turn it on, and it starts on fire. And smoke coming out of the hood, like wipers are going crazy. It's honking, and the battery's like sparking. And the terminal had like fused itself together. So I'm with the closest thing to me was a crescent wrench. I'm whacking the battery trying to break it off, and eventually get it off, and it had like melted. Like I forget what the little point, the thing that the terminals connect to on the battery was like melted. And so I'm like, all right, called Bryce. He's like, just don't touch it. So
what did that conversation, like when you pick up the phone, what's the first thing you say?
Oh, I was borderline crying.
Yeah.
Like so much bullshit has already been through, and then it's on fire. And he's like, yeah, just don't touch it. I'll be right there. And he comes, and there's this big like 0 gauge wire that goes from the starter to the firewall. That's like 2 feet. That was not. It was gone. The whole wire was like in 2 little pieces at each end, and it had totally melted, I guess. So then it was a whole year of just chasing already crappy Chrysler electronic gremlins of like getting my taillights to work, and like what fuses did it blow, and why does 3 of the 4 windows not work? Why is 1 window working? And like, okay, my headlights half work sometimes, and then like just stupid stuff that was already pretty stupid because it's Chrysler, and it's got a bunch of dumb stuff to it already.
My empathy is raging right now because, like, even though this happened years ago, I'm like, I would be so fucking annoyed.
We're not even to the most recent part yet. So,
okay, I'll strap
this spring, I was in Saudi with my wife, visiting family, and Bryce. This spring, we were going to turn it up. This was all I needed. Everything was built. Everything was bulletproof for a 1,000 wheel. I can launch it on the track. The theoretical weak point was the axles, which with slicks launching at the track, they're good for 1,000-ish stock Hellcat axles. And so I'm like, okay, I need fuel and I need a head unit, and we're ready to rock. I wanted to go from like 5 to like 700, 800, and then to 1,000. That was because I was like, I can't just go from 5 to 1,000. I will die. It's like I've driven some fast cars, but not 1,000 horsepower.
You got to ease into
rear wheel drive cars that are 4,400 pounds.
I'm just curious before you continue. What do you have for traction control on that? Or what do you have? Like, I'm guessing you don't have a Motec or anything like that.
It's all stock.
It's all stock. Okay, just curious.
So yeah, I bought a big fat fuel pump because on previously up till then it had been on a booster pump, which is a thing that I don't understand how it works, but it boosts your stock fuel pump using electronics.
Oh, okay.
Wizardry. So yeah, it's
What was it called?
booster pump.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're pretty common actually.
I'm the wrong guy.
It worked for me great. Great for like 2-3 years on 91. So yeah, we were gonna turn it up, bigger fuel injectors. So I bought 1,200 cc injectors, and I bought a big I think it was a 525 pump. Put that in, and like got the special hat for it and all this stuff, and gets on the dyno, and it made like 548 on the P1 and like 9 or 10 psi. And we're just figuring out that now I'm running out of air, so we got to redo the intercooler system and all this other stuff. And he's like on and off the phone. I'm like in Saudi, like trying to talk to him about tuning and like crazy time difference, and everything turns out fine. We're like, the new injectors and everything get tuned, and it's great. He's running great, so he drove it for while I was gone just to get it good and come back. And so I'm driving it, still getting, used to it, and driving it to work. And I'm driving home from work one day. I hadn't even really gotten on it all spring. And driving down my street going home, and it gets stuck in third. And I'm like, okay, cool. Pull into my driveway, all neutrals. And then it like rolled, found reverse. And so I have a pretty long driveway. So I was like kind of just figuring out where we were at, and I was like, you know what, put it in park, shut it off, called Bryce. He's like, don't drive it, don't do anything. So he's like, we're just gonna see what's going on, pull the trans, pull the pan, and the oil is shiny, the fluid is glittery. And I'm like, cool, this is the built trans now. So, and there's a couple little chunks in there, so we call the guy that built it, and we're like, what the fuck, man, like this is a 1,500 wheel transmission, and it made 548, and it broke. And so he's like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, we'll have to look at it. It could have just been the stall that failed and blah, 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 blah. So I'm, like, distraught, like, laying on my back in my garage staring at the ceiling, like, what am I even doing anymore? Like, why am I even here? Like, why am I even doing this? Like, I've spent a year's worth of mortgage on a transmission, and it doesn't work. And so the guy that built it from Florida agreed to fix it for the cost of shipping, which in the grand scheme of things was like $700. I'm like, this guy's lied to me. He's dragged ass before, and like, I just need to, if I pay $300 and I never see this transmission again, whatever, I guess, and I'll just figure out what plan B is. And so ship it to him, and a couple weeks go by, and he's working on it, and he's like, I think I got it fixed. I think it was just the stall. He's like, we put a new one in and cleaned it out. And so obviously we got to like clean out the pump and the lines on the car, because they're, theoretically have chunks in them too. So that's all moving. And I get a call from Bryce, and the guy, his name's Chuck, the guy building the trans died. Mid-build.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, Chuck died. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he's dead.
That's a Bummer.
kidney failure. And I'm like, so now what? Like, obviously, like, RIP, but
Right.
what do I do? He's got my stuff. I'm like, luckily he's got an employee that finished it, and this was all this year. So like this summer, it got shipped back to me, and it's sitting up at Moe's on a pallet, theoretically built. I don't know how you check a transmission if it's built or not. So
That's a Bryce problem.
yeah, you got to take it apart to look at it. It's not like you can just like look at it. You got to take it apart and know what you're looking at. So yeah, it's like, thank Lord for Bryce. Has just been, the car's cursed, or me. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's been on fire. It's killed people.
That's wild, dude. I wouldn't even know how to respond to that. Like,
So
every aspect of that, by the way, from the fire to the guy building it is dead halfway through.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
yeah.
Oh.
So I'm still like, do I,
Hold on, I need an Advil, bro.
I'm
Hold on.
like many racks into a 1,000 horsepower capable car that may or may not ever see that, Like,
So where are we at today with it?
We are at the Transes at Moe's, theoretically built. It's just got to go in, and we got to clean out the lines and stuff like that, and see if the pump also failed. It's got a trans cooler on it and stuff like that. So all that stuff's got to be cleaned. It's got debris in it theoretically. So yeah, I'm to the point where I'm like, I just want it together and I just want to drive it. It's fun at 550. I don't know if I care about 800. Like, I'm just so deep into it though.
Yeah.
Money and time and emotion, and it's 8 years of blood, sweat, and tears. I know people always say that, but like, good Lord.
Yeah.
So that's the saga of the cursed 300.
Dude, there's people out there that just have a build that never is built. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Like, I've heard this story countless times.
It's had a lot of time on the street. It's had a lot of good times.
Of course.
And like, yeah, I know people that their bills have been down for 4 years. It's seen the road every year. A bit. This year it was like a week. So
Yeah, I mean, it should be getting there. I mean, I'm excited. Like, well, you're in competent hands with Bryce, at least. So, and I'm just curious, what was the motive to send it down to Florida to get built? Is that just...
He was the most affordable, reputable trans builder at the time. There was another guy that was like number one, but it was it would have been like $8,000.
Yeah.
$8-9,000. And like at the time that was just absurd.
Yeah.
Still is absurd. But yeah, I'm having 1,000 horsepower problems without any of the
fun,
the power of the like, I make half of what I want, and
Yeah.
I'm having, like, I have the same downtime and number of problems as guys that I know that make double the power. It's like,
Yeah, because you would think the problems would start coming after it's tuned for the full 1,000.
yeah.
But you were still at 500-ish, right?
Yeah, it's never seen north of 548,
That's kind of wild when you think about it.
which is damn near what it made with a stock trans and a stock block.
Yeah, right. So you never got
Which
to
I was melting stock transmissions like once a year.
Yeah.
At 515-ish.
What does a stock transmission cost, though, to get like a used one?
$300.
Really? Are they?
Yeah.
Really? They're not? Okay, so it's like, fuck, I'll just blow another one up.
Yeah. I mean, and the time and labor that it takes to put it in,
That's probably where
which sucks, but
yeah, that's probably more of the cost, I'm guessing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What
That's
a
the
freaking...
300 saga.
Will we see it next season, ideally, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the trans and stuff will go in this winter. And then we'll see how it goes.
Have you ever... So I'm just curious, like... I'm sure at many points you screamed at the... I wouldn't say the windshield because I wasn't working. At the sky. Screaming at the sky. Have you ever thought about switching to a different platform or car at any point?
I'd love to. I am financially so deep into this project.
Right. You're just committed at this point. Yeah.
It's like $40,000 probably.
Well, it's like you come to a point...
Big power Hemis are not cheap.
No.
I'm like, yeah, I could have had a big turbo built LS donk. I could have had 2 of those by now. I could have had a Viper and a donk by now.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not with current Viper prices, but
That's ridiculous. Oh, they're coming back down though. I'm currently watching AJ's Viper on Bring a Trailer. We'll see what happens. The Pro Charge one.
Sure.
I'm curious to see how that'll do. I think the auction ends in like 2 days, but they shot up so much over COVID.
Yeah.
And
But you used to be able to get a Viper for like 30 grand.
Yeah. Like the Gen 1s.
Yeah, Gen 1.
Gen 2s were like 40, 50-ish, I think.
Yeah. I'm not a big Viper market guy, but I have a lot of Viper friends, weirdly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, chapter 2. What's
chapter 2? Yeah.
What's the next thing?
Do you know how much money you can make on freaking reading audiobooks, by the way? Like
Me, personally?
Well, with your voice, easily.
For it.
Yeah, you got the voice for it. You're like a white Morgan Freeman. Take with that as you will. That's the other thing. I love saying absurd shit on this podcast because like I know somebody's giggling looking at the windshield right now, but no, you can make like good money like reading. Like I'm not sure how much, if it's gone down at all with like, you know, the introduction of AI and all that, but like if you could like but you can go online, pick like any set of books or whatever. If people like your voice, you could basically just narrate Cat in the Hat or something. And just,
I think that'll be completely dead in a year.
Yeah.
I've seen AI voiceover stuff. One of my buddies works for Google in California, and he's sent me a video that's like an e-learning video. Like, here's how to do whatever you're doing at work. E-learning for work. And I want, 10-minute video, and he's like, this is a computer-generated voiceover. I was like, no, it's not.
It's ridiculous.
It's not. It's just a computer reading text. And I was like, he's like, the technology is absolutely absurd.
Well, especially if your buddies at like Google or whatever, it's like they're even further ahead. Like they're aware of more things because like right now the hot one, I think it's called 11 Labs. That's what I used a couple of months ago. It literally, I think it was like $1 to sign up. And I don't know if some people saw this on my page. I didn't get a lot of views on these videos, but like I was able to take Biden's voice and just be
so scary.
And it was, like I could literally make Biden and Trump talking to each other about slow ass Supras or whatever. Like it's like, just ridiculous. So that industry will be gone real quick too. I don't know. There's something to be said about human fuck ups though. Like when I listen to audiobooks, I don't know if you've ever listened to audiobooks, but like
here and there,
it's a little bit, it's charming when they fuck it up when you hear their lisp.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I'm sure we can incorporate that with AI. I don't know, but I don't know. For the next 6 months, take that beautiful voice of yours and do some audiobook reading. So I guess other car stuff wise then. So you've done Crown Rally. You've done obviously working on your car and all that fun stuff. Have you done any other like large events or like proving grounds or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, I've done obviously a ton of proving grounds. I went to proving grounds every year for 8 years probably. And then a couple SEMAs for various reasons, and then 2 or 3 years of TX2k.
Okay.
Those are probably the big ones. And then some like OG drift events way back in the day.
OG being, how back in the day are we talking about?
2014. 2014. So not OG, but like before we were on here, I was talking about I'm like a self-proclaimed new old head. I'm not as old as some of the OG guys, but
right.
For the new crew, I'm like the old head of the new crew. So yeah, 2014 I was in like St. Louis shooting for Midwest Drift Union, and then Detroit back when they did Streets of Detroit, which is a throwback. I think like 2015 was probably the last year they did that, to my knowledge. But yeah, started pretty heavy with drift photography. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think for the big car events outside of the states, this state would be SEMA and TX2k.
Mm-hmm. So I guess to kind of pivot, I guess, I mean, how would you? So would you be working like, for example, like that drift event? Would you be like working it as like a paid photographer or anything, or?
Those two were actually for my senior project in college.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, so at the end of college, you do a big senior project.
Yep.
And in graphic design, you get to do basically whatever you want. So I branded a fake drift event, which I needed real drift event coverage for. So I went out and went to 2 MDU events. Like I said, Streets of Detroit, which was crazy. They literally drifted in front of I think it's called Union Station in Detroit.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And and then whatever the track is in St. Louis. I can't think of the track name off the top of my head. So yeah, and then like making posters and like a fake recap video, and then like promoting that fake event for my project. But everything else, the SEMAs and Texas 2Ks have all been for work.
Oh, really? Okay, so when you went to Texas 2K, who was that under?
MAP.
Oh, MAP.
Yeah.
Same with SEMA then?
2 years of working Texas 2K for MAP, and then 1 year that was just for fun.
What were you doing on behalf? Like, did they have like a tent or something down there, or?
No, the first year. Let me think about that. No, the first year was just with MAP friends.
Okay.
The second year was paid for MAP, that we were doing like features.
Oh, okay.
So we featured a bunch of people down there.
That had like MAP parts.
Yeah, and more so just like niche vehicles. So like there was a big turbo high horsepower BRZ that was out there on the street, and then we did one on a gentleman named Omar that had the, I believe, quickest and fastest STI. It's like 1,400 horsepower, 2016-ish STI that's running like 8s, I think.
Crazy. Think about how much. I could just see like the vape smoke coming from behind it.
Yeah, that thing was nuts. And then obviously we've always been through MAP pretty closely connected to 1320. They sponsored 1320 forever.
Oh, okay.
You can watch the intro to 1320. It's Pro Charger and MAP.
Oh, yeah,
and
I guess. Yeah.
a third one, maybe? Texas Speed. Yeah. So, yeah, like the first year going down there was just with MAP buddies. Tim, who had a big turbo A4. It was a VR6 A4 that made like 900 wheel.
Jeez.
And then we had a newer gen GTO that was buddy Jake's that made like 820. And which was like, the 2017-ish era, so like 900 all wheel, which was it still is absurd, but even then, like
back then it was crazy.
5-6 years ago we were unbeatable. And I had, I'm texting Kyle from 1320, and like the first Texas 2K, we're in a group text, and I get a text from Kyle that's it's a location, and it says no cars on our 800 wheel, no spectators, and an address. I'm like, this is the coolest text that I've ever gotten. It's from Kyle. So yeah, we show up, and it's like Supras with chutes, and like the UGR Lamborghinis and stuff, but on the street at the meetup spot is like midnight, and then you stick around for 2 hours, and then you go out on the street and do Texas 2K street stuff.
Dude, you're taking me back to some core memories, because my first year at Texas 2K, it's like, we went to this like crazy meetup. I mean, people are parking up and down the street, and again, you see everything from like crazy 600, 700, 800 horsepower Civics to, again, UGR Lambos, but they take the stickers off, because I think they make them take the stickers off nowadays.
Probably.
Because like I've never seen, like, at least on the street, I don't think I ever see like UGR cars have stickers anymore, which I mean makes sense.
It's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Well, like, for example, like Mike Johnson with the Mustang or whatever, like he started getting a lot more sponsorship opportunities once he started doing actual track stuff.
Yeah.
Because like the street racing stuff, like as fun as it is and as cool as it is, it's hard to make money off of,
if not impossible.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing cash pots,
Yeah.
Which is not is a totally separate entity than title sponsors or whatever. But
yeah, I need to get some more street racing. Like I need to get like the head of a ring on here and then just blur their face.
Yeah.
Like I need to get one of those.
Yeah. We that first year at Texas, we had some pretty crazy lineups, because like the 900 horsepower Audi people were gunning for it, and we had like Tony, who's a Bad Cobra.
Yes. Yep.
He was with us, and then Josh Sealing.
I don't know if I know him.
And his brother Rob, I think he also had a Supra at the time. But yeah, like 4, 5, 6 cars, all well over 800.
Well, Tony's making, I want to say like close to 2,000 nowadays, maybe
1,500.
Yeah, yeah, 1,600.
Never been
I
in
think.
that car.
Yeah,
I've just been near it, and people were like gunning for him hard for a couple years down there, and that was cool to see and like be in like that circle that's like watching the race, watching Tony and 3 Supras with chutes 4 wide in Texas, and like we would like scout for stuff ahead, and then they blow you cars going by you at 200 miles an hour on the freeway, and they're pulling chutes on the freeway.
Really?
Like stupid stuff. We had like super late, like obviously you've been to Texas, you go sometimes all night. And there was one that it was just a random group text, random address. And we show up, it was like 4 a.m, this business park in Texas. And like literally the sun's coming up. And we're like, no one's showing up. It's like just our little group. There's like 6 of us. We're like, this is like a fake bunk address, or like what, like a decoy address, or like what, like there's literally nobody there. And we're waiting, and this like F-350 pulling a enclosed trailer pulls up, and I'm like, what? And another one, and these 2 dudes trailered these 2 cars to the spot, and this guy gets out with like a full race suit, like helmet, neck brace, and gets in. They pull out this car, and he gets in it, and I'm like, oh, this is the race. And like sun's coming up, and then people start filling in the parking lot, and these 2 cars line up, and they have the flares, like the road flares out to like mark the little start point, and like I'm just like done, like blacking out. I'm like, these 2 guys just trailered their cars to a spot, and it's a dig grudge race that we just stumbled upon. And like this was the first time experiencing anything like that. Oh my god, these guys are like doing the tire compound stuff and like doing the thing and
like heating up the street and stuff.
Yeah, and they got the flashlight guy ready to go, and these 2 cars, they're like lined up. Guy with the flashlight does his thing, he does whatever that some like 2 clicks, and then runs back and then clicks it again and then drops it, and they go and like full on wheelies on the street, and like one gets kind of saucy, and they're like, we're going to run it back. And then like they come around the block and do it again. And then like a bunch of cheering. I'm like, I'm blacked out at this point, because I'm just so overwhelmed with what's going on. Like 2,000 horsepower, full on comp cars like on the street. And we hear sirens in the distance, and everybody's just like breaks up. All of a sudden we're running. And I'm like, oh my, like what? And I see like one of the black cars just pull into the trailer, and like they close the thing and drive away with him in the car still. And then next thing we know, we're like on the highway with one of the trailers, and he's got like 3-4 guys on Hayabusas like running offense and like scouting for him to get away from the spot, and like just crazy. And then like Texas is over, like whatever, like the next day this was all like 30 minutes. And we go to sleep, wake up the next day, and we're like driving home, and my buddy Tim is on the internet, and we come to find out that this was like a cash pot grudge race that was like $10,000 that we just watched. And I'm like, oh, okay, super casual.
I know exactly what you mean when you get like overstimulated in a situation like that, because you don't know what's going on.
Like, this is me, I'm here, and this is real, and yeah. It's
like you're in a movie.
Yeah.
Like it literally is like a Fast and Furious
I'm just
grudge
like
race.
holding my camera and just like trying to consume what's going on and be, yeah.
So what, you have no idea what kind of, like, were they like built cars with like shells or something?
One of the cars was, he was famous grudge racer, Black Jesus. It's like a Fox body. I can't remember. One of them was a Fox body, and one was a Camaro.
Okay.
Like a 2000s, what are they, Catfish?
Okay.
Yeah,
so like a Catfish Camaro. Okay.
I'd have to fact it. It's been a while. But yeah, one of them was Black Jesus.
Okay.
Was, I think, a Googleable grudge racer.
Okay.
So I don't remember what he drove at the time, but yeah. Ended up that was the race. Like there was $10,000 on the line for this race that we just stumbled across. And,
we'll pull up the footage.
Yeah.
We'll check the
There
replay.
is footage. I do have, this is all stuff that I can give you B-roll for.
We are 1,000% doing a highlight of this. This is ridiculous. But no, dude, I totally understand. So this year we actually started hitting some okay. So the first year I went to Texas 2K, I went with Chaz, Jessica, and Marina. And it was 4 of us in a 800-900 wheel, a Trackhawk or whatever. The thing is when you travel with a big group like that, it's a catastrophe. Like everybody wants to do something different. Like we didn't necessarily have a plan, and then non-committal things happen. It's like, are we doing it? Are we not? So this year was just me and Sean. So we took out his Hellcat Durango. And that was a blast outside of the issues we had with the welds not fitting and it falling off the jack stand. And listeners of this podcast are all too familiar with that story.
Yeah.
But anywho, we went out. I think we only got like 2 races in against the Supra and I think a Tesla Plaid, which we knew was going to dust us anyway. Yeah. But we were going from spot to spot, and like, some of the spots was like a meetup spot, so that was cool. But like when you see like 11, 12 cars, just packing like a pump, so first of all, I'm getting overstimulated thinking about it. I don't even know where to start with this because it was such a crazy night. Like I got to see Kyle off this like in person, which was like, again, like this is a scene I'm just starting to break into. So I'm like, oh, cool. Like he walked right past me with this, like he literally got a video. Yeah, the camcorder. He's doing the video right in front of me. So like that was super cool. But like we're in this parking lot of a gas station, like waiting for people. Like Kyle was jumping into cars to go out racing and whatever for his footage. And funny enough, it was actually the same meet that Trey and his dad were at. So actually they got front row parking. So they were smart where they parked because everybody, like me and Sean, were blocked in. Yeah. This gas station was literally car to car, nowhere to pass through. It was packed. Like there is nothing like this Texas racing scene that I've seen in my life. It literally was like a movie. Yeah. But even then, like we started going from spot to spot, like racing spots, because like me and Sean, we just wanted to get a couple races in. Like the Durango is fast. Like it's not, any near as fast as anything down there, but we had the chance for a few decent races. But then we started running into more and more cops. Like it was like we'd get to a spot and it's just a hornet's nest. Like out of nowhere, like 10 cop cars. You got to get the fuck out of here.
And I think it's just gotten worse.
Well, because they ramped it up. So I think that's one of the good things about it moving to Dallas. Because, like, I shouldn't say good things because it's going to be wild. But I'm doubtful that they will be ready for it. Sure. Because, like, when Texas 2K comes to town, it's like a car festival. Like, it's, like, in Houston, like, the same craziness that's going on in the Southwest is going on in the Northeast an hour and a half away. Yeah. It takes over the whole city. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we went. Man, I went with Adam in his Viper. That was the last time I went, which was for fun. And we got a couple races in. That wasn't nearly
which Viper of his?
Wild. Adam Smith, the red Viper.
Oh, that Viper. Okay, that Adam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he had just gotten it, I think, pretty much wrapped up. So 1,400 wheel.
What was this? 2 years ago? You said?
Yeah. 2021-ish.
Oh, that was probably the year. I think that was the year that he ended up on the video or whatever. Yeah, I think so. Because that was the same video that Chaz ended up in. Like, they were like, so they brought like I think it was the M4, the M5 CS, which was fast as shit, had a JB4 tune. And it's like, oh, this guy's, we got the Viper over here, and then we got this guy. He's doing a right over here. He's got AC and cooled seats, and we'll still give you the gap. But yeah, I remember that year that Adam went. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a scary car.
So is that the fastest car you've been in?
No. Okay. I was in one of Coy Christmas's GTRs, like 2,000 horsepower GTR. That was at Power Cruise. I don't think he ever actually got on it. Mm-hmm. And then I've ridden in Joe DeVito's Mustang.
Okay. What's that one make?
2,000.
Something, yeah.
It runs 8s, I believe. Yeah. And yeah, we did a hit on the street on low boost, which I think was like 1,400 wheel-ish. But that's a purpose-built car. Like Adam's Viper, it's just a bunch of power thrown at a little go-kart, basically. So there's not a lot of like power to the ground type situations. Mm-hmm. Whereas like Joe's car, I think, is quite a bit more intentionally built for one specific purpose, which is dumb speed. So yeah, that's a crazy car. Also, yeah, he runs DeVito Racing up in Fargo now.
Okay, dude, I
DeVito Racing Compound, I think is the full name. So I think that's probably, I did a little video for him a couple years ago, 2020 or so, and yeah, we did a poll on 52 in St. Paul on the bridge.
I remember freaking Adam showing up to Jeff Storm's birthday, like at his house. And we were all just like in the back of the deck or whatever. Just like Jeff had this amazing spread for his birthday. Like, barbecue and all this.
I've been.
And then we hear, yep. I think you were there at that one, maybe.
He's a realtor.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, did you know?
We might have been at the same birthday.
But freaking Adam pulls up into Viper and just anti-lagging or whatever. Or two-stepping, I don't know. People always get mad when I mix those up. But two-stepping in front of his house in a neighborhood, just burning the asphalt right.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was doing that a lot on Crown, too. Like every single gas station, he'd be just two-stepping.
It's such a weird feeling. The like rolling anti-lag thing. Mm-hmm. I experienced that for the first time in Chrysler Reagan's Evo, a white one.
Oh, okay.
And
that's a fast car.
Oh, another scary. That's a car that like you're like, if we crash, there's nothing, because it's a shitty little Evo. Like it's not in the Viper. It's weird because it's a convertible, but you feel safe. You're much lower, and it feels safer. I don't know. Evos do not feel safe to me.
Well, was there a cage in the Evo?
No, I don't think there was. That's a street car.
Yeah.
He doesn't track that car really. I think he does Power Cruise, but
I don't think Adam has one either. Or Adam Smith rather. I don't think he has a cage. Yeah.
No, they have those dumb little loops behind.
Yeah, sure.
That will prevent you from maybe dying.
Maybe. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because I've been in the other Adams Viper, the 2,000 horsepower Gen 5, and it's like the cage, and like I just feel safe in that car because, like, first of all, it's got Motec, so it's like it's ridiculous. Like I remember one time, like one of my first times being in that car. I think it was the first or second time I was in that car. It was a cold night, and we were driving past Nth Moto, and he's like, "Let's see if they could figure out who it is." So. He anti-lags or whatever, and I'm like, oh, we're sideways.
Yep.
But then when you stay in it with the Motec, it just corrects itself.
Figures it out. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like one of the last things you want to do is let off.
Yeah.
Because then the car just wants to swing around even more.
Yeah, the weight shifts like crazy.
Yeah, I literally just dropped the highlight on this yesterday. It's like just talking about like, that oversteer just snaps, or lift off oversteer is what it's called, I think.
Sure.
But it's just ridiculous. But yeah, the thing is like, I feel safer in that car at 180 miles an hour than I did in my Jeep Gladiator at 80.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I've done 110 in the Gladiator too. I maxed that fucker out going downhill.
I feel that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm itching for Texas 2K, man. You brought back some core memories on that one.
Yeah. I think the last one was, I think I'm good on street speed.
Yeah? What makes you say that?
We spent a bunch of time in a like 6-something wheel BRZ.
That's a lot.
Going like 170 in a BRZ, I was just like, I think I'm done here. It was literally like this epiphany moment where like we're street racing in a BRZ, and
this tin can.
Yeah, like, we win the race at, most races are like 40, 60 rolls, depending on, some are 80 rolls if you're in stupid fast stuff, but 60 rolls, so it's like 60 to 160-ish, and 160 for him was like the top of fourth, I think, and he would win the race against whatever, and he would grab fifth, and then just keep going, and I'm like, no, stop, and we would go to like 175, 180, and then like he just wanted to like really pound that win home, and like 175, 180 in a BRZ, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with the sketchy street speed stuff.
I feel that. I've gotten up to 150 in my Golf, and I'm just like, I don't think I want to go more. Yeah. Because like I know I can, but I'm like, in this car, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's different in a GTR. Like I've taken GTRs up to 150. I've taken the GT500 up to 166, and it's like, those cars are capable of it.
Yeah.
You feel safe.
Yeah. Well, we did like 190 in a certain car on a certain event, and I was like, in a McLaren, and you're like, this is fine. I feel fine. Your AC's on, listening to music. You got a podcast playing. Like, it's just casual. You're like, oh, we're going 190. It feels like 90. And you're like, this is totally fine.
It is different on events like that.
Because they're built for it.
Yeah.
BRZs are not built for 175.
Oh, yeah, sorry, cars like that. Yeah, no, BRZs were not designed for that. No.
So that was my last Texas 2K, and I think, I don't know. Sketchy street speed stuff.
Yeah, there's a certain limit, and that's the other thing. You got to know who you're driving with sometimes too. Sometimes you jump in with whoever, and it's like, all right, I mean, this guy seems legit. Like that, it's weird because like you want to jump in with somebody who you know is not going to have like an ego, that is going to want to go further, and get you into a dangerous situation too.
Yeah.
That's why I think there's only been like one or two people that I've really trusted, because like you are trusting them with your life.
Yeah, but that's like the video guy journey.
Yes,
it's
true.
like you're just getting into cars with random people.
Yes.
And they're like,
yeah. So you gotta gauge it.
who are you?
Yeah.
What are you capable of? Because there's egos and there's lack of skill, and those two things combined, and other factors, road conditions, pedestrians, like that. There's so many things that are out of your control.
Yeah, and thankfully for the most, I think people are from what I noticed, they were a lot smarter in Texas too, like really organized.
Yeah.
From what I saw, at least, like there is that level of organization. Like I don't know if I would really like, from what I've heard, the scene's a little rough out here sometimes, depending on who you go with, what group you're with. But
It is.
yeah,
There's levels to the scene here. There's like the fast car guys that are just in a group text, and that's it. Like
twice a year maybe get together,
and it's like just friendship beef, and they bring along some friends, and then there's everybody else.
Dude, I was scrolling through my memories today on my phone. Like I was just trying to find something else, just for S's and G's, and I found one. I think it was from 2 or 3 years ago. There was a guy out here. I think he was on a bike or something else. And it was a screenshot of somebody's Snapchat. Like this was shared multiple times. A guy who lost his foot. Mm-hmm. So it's like literally. Do you remember it? You know what photo I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Like it's literally just a dude's leg and then his foot and all this meat in between. And I was just like, this looks like an Erik Blume shoot.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, just wild. Oh man, do you do much street stuff or not really? Have you made it out to a bunch of it? Not so much
for media or for personal driving.
Just for the heck of it. Just
here?
Yeah.
A bit.
It's
been a long time. But
yeah,
I went out a couple times way back in the day with like Joe and I think his name's Stu. He's got a newer GTO.
Okay.
That's like 2,000 horsepower. And then I used to go to the way back when people would do digs on Shepherd.
Yeah,
I used to live right there. I just walk down there and watch people. Because the cops didn't really used to care a lot when people were doing it down there. Mm-hmm. Way back in the day, they would just like kind of roll up and stroll through the parking lot and be like, "Hey, you guys should go home."
Yeah,
it's like, oh, there's nobody over here. There's no pedestrians. There's no sidewalk. It's a relatively safe space for people to be doing that. So I think they kind of just were like, just stay over there and you'll be all right. But yeah, I haven't done much in a long time. So
it's a bummer that tracks are starting to shut down too. Like Houston Raceway, they just tore it down earlier this year. It's like that was the last Texas 2K there. It's like hopefully because like I don't know. Like there's a place for street stuff. I feel like it, but you still want to be able to go to an actual track.
People are doing the dumbest shit at tracks now too.
Yeah,
the video of the guy riding in the back of the pickup.
The stupidest thing, dude.
Like, yeah, okay. That's how tracks get shut down.
Well, I think so. I was reading an article about it. I'm not sure if there's, you can't even trust normal news pages nowadays. But I think that they had like one type of certification, and then they were like, they didn't really care that they were going to lose it. I think it was like they had like a IHRA or whatever license, and then that's what they lost. But then they're getting an NHRA one next. I don't know how that's what the article said. It's like when they were going to switch from one license to another, so they didn't care that they lost it doing this stunt. But I don't know.
Wouldn't the stunt make them not eligible for the new license too, though?
That's kind of what I was thinking too. I don't know. Either way, it was stupid.
Yeah.
It was just dumb. Because like the truck's doing a full blown. Like there's so much going on there that I'm just like.
I mean, he's the only one in danger.
Yeah, so. That's fair. I remember first time I did rollers hanging out of a truck bed. We had the bed open. This is like my third photo shoot ever. I want to say it was with a black STI. Shout out to Cheeto. I had to think on a name for a second, but I'm hanging out of this Dakota or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'm slipping. I'm like, we're going 50. I'm like, okay, this is very dumb. So I never did that again, laying down in a truck bed that's flat open.
Yeah. I never did trucks. I had a 4Runner that had the window that rolled down in the back.
So nice.
Incredible.
I did that. So a few years ago, we did some promo. I think it was promo for Crown, maybe. We wrapped Michael Morgan's ACR or whatever, and I was helping Jake basically film or whatever. And yeah, window pops right open. Score. Super easy. They don't make cars like that anymore.
No, they don't.
Windows don't roll down in the back anymore. No. Stupid.
I got a wagon. I got to do the whole hatch now.
Yeah, is that your daily?
Yeah.
Okay.
TDI.
Oh, you got a Volkswagen TDI? Oh, sick. Okay, those are awesome.
Yeah. It's got a Eurocharge tune on it.
Okay.
And springs.
And springs? Okay. What color is it?
Blue.
Blue? Yeah, I remember Gabe used to have a black one.
Blue. It's like the worst color, but...
Yeah, it's rough.
I feel like every other color for that car looks better than the dark blue, but...
That's fair. They look good in black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have like that light gray. I've seen white ones that look really good.
Yeah.
Red. They have red ones.
Oh, yeah.
The blue is the worst.
I remember Molly from Crown or whatever. She was looking for a red one for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Never worked out.
I just saw her 2 days ago.
In town?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
She rented my studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Lizzie.
okay. Gotcha. Oh, okay.
Also,
gotcha.
more Crown people.
There's so many people from that community, dude. It's such a big community. Coming full circle, I would love to see it come back and be successful. But even then, like, I'll be building something pretty awesome here with Community next season. The next week and a half is going to be a bit of a whirlwind for those guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which I can't disclose too much. So we'll see what happens there. But nonetheless, I think let's see where we're at.
Yeah. Time-wise?
Holy shit. Guess how far deep into it we are.
Hour 36.
6 more minutes than that. Hour 42.
Hour 42. Okay.
Time starts flying, dude. Like that's
if you've made it this far,
yeah.
congratulations.
Well, that's the thing, dude. Like I always tell people, like the flow of convo really starts after an hour. Like even with people that like you talk to regularly, it's just like after that 1 hour, the flow of convo is great. So I'm sure Bryce is gonna be jumping up and down that you were on this.
Yeah. I just saw him the other day.
Yeah, gonna have him back on here. But anyways, for those of you that have listened to the show, at the end of every show, I like to ask a question. And this is basically to just get an idea of who you are, what your car tastes are, assuming that you win the Powerball. So the question goes like this. You have to choose 3. It's been a few weeks since I've done this, by the way. I took a week off after SEMA. So the question goes like this. You have to choose 3 cars. One is going to be a show car. One's going to be a track car. And then the hardest one for most people, the daily. You have an unlimited budget. The only limitation is your imagination.
Daily is the easy one for me.
Okay.
Trackhawk.
Trackhawk for the daily.
Yeah,
okay, I like
easy.
it. Would you modify it at all?
No.
Stock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then show car and race car, basically.
Yes.
Am I also paying for maintenance?
Yeah, unlimited budget. So swaps and all this stuff. I mean, let's not make a bunch of glory run cars, but
yeah, I think show car I would go donk.
What kind? What car?
Like a 80s Regal.
Nice.
Or like a Monty SS.
I'm sold.
Yeah, I don't know. I just love all of those.
And how big would your wheels be?
26, 28-ish.
Okay.
Nothing. I don't like. You get into those like 30s. I think that's a bit much.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what those wheels weigh.
Who knows? Yeah, just a tasteful donk.
Tasteful Monty.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Regals. I think Regals are my favorite.
You're sending it
or
on
Caprice.
All right.
They're all good. I'm just naming them all off now at this point.
So we're gonna lock in.
So now we're to track car. I gotta go big because my budget's been pretty lame so far. I would go all out like Koenigsegg or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not a third person that said a Koenigsegg on this show.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was for track car or for show car, the previous guess, but
yeah. I mean, I think out of like the big 3 for the hypercars, I would go P1. I think they look the best. Like out of the 918, the P1 and the LaFerrari is the third one of that, like the OG hypercars.
The trio.
But yeah, the like older Koenigsegg for me.
Older Koenigsegg, like a CCX?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Those were always cool.
What
That
color?
was like the first. I can pretty much like frame for frame play the Top Gear segment on the CCX.
Ah,
I think
okay.
it was the CCX. It might have been like the CCR or whatever.
The one with the Crown
was-
Victoria motor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like does there. I remember that whole segment on Top Gear, and I just fell in love with that car.
Yeah, that one was, what, silver? No, it was black. I can't remember. What color would you
I
do?
want to say silver. I would go black.
Black?
Always black.
Black with like silver wheels?
Black.
Black.
Murdered.
Murdered? Okay.
Catch some heat for that probably.
No, all right, now settle this one for me. What are your thoughts on black wheels?
Love them.
Love them.
Yeah. Sorry, Chur.
He's got beef. I don't know.
No, they're fine. I mean,
They're not that hard to take photos of. They're not that bad. They can be, but like, I don't know, editing wise, I kind of figured that one out.
Yeah, you just gotta not suck.
Just gotta not suck. Well, like I learned how to just like, bring my highlights, my whites up, and it's like, all right, it gets a little more detail back out there. I don't know. I'm not gonna give away all my secrets, but
Yeah.
that said, though, where can everybody find you?
Like my address.
Maybe not. Let's start with web address.
Yeah. I mean, I have a personal Facebook and a work Instagram, and then I do have an Instagram for the car too. That's low PSI 300. I'm not on there much because it's been down all summer.
That's fair.
But there's some cool stuff on there. Some pretty rowdy burnouts and pulls and me snapping an axle and all that stuff. And then the photo account is EB Photo 651. And then you can just add me on Facebook as a friend if you want.
Sweet, dude. I'm excited. I like watching your work. Your work. It's awesome to see whatever projects come through. You make people look better than they are.
That's the goal. Not necessarily the goal. The goal is to make people feel good about themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, yeah, I take all that very seriously. I try to not be.
Well, it's good for people's self-esteem.
Try to not be a creep.
Yeah.
In the for what I do in the industry and all that stuff. There's so many losers.
Yes,
and
I've heard.
I try very hard to be, not a loser.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about you. Like, I mean, obviously, but like, I've heard bad stories even here locally of like, dudes that are just weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's every week there's a story of somebody having a poor experience as a model with a portrait photographer or whatever. But there's tons of stuff out there, safety groups and stuff, and I try to provide safe spaces for stuff and try to not be a piece of shit, which is surprisingly easy.
You would think.
You'd think, but people still manage to pull off the opposite of that.
Yeah, which is a bummer. As for me, you guys are listening to the Monoxide podcast, so you found me. Congratulations. If you haven't realized that 2 hours in. Just make sure you're going to monoxide.com, signing up for the newsletter. I have some exciting stuff coming up here. I'll probably do some giveaways and some stuff. I know I've been preaching that forever. It's actually coming here. Lots of awesome stuff that I have Trevor working on. Hopefully it will be done by the time this episode drops. Even though it's not official yet in the backdrop, I am taking on Razorhood as the first official sponsor of the podcast, which is freaking awesome. They, so I don't think we touched on this earlier on, or I think we did before the episode started, but Razorhood is basically a telemechanic for people that need help with their cars combined with AI. So super exciting company. I'll be talking a lot more about that here in the future once I just kind of get things prepared. So check them out. I think it's razorhood.com. But other than that, follow All Things Monoxide. And thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on, Eric. And see y'all next time.
Thanks for having me.
I suck at these outros.
That was smooth.